set up our next presentation.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'd like to call up to the microphone Jonathan Williams and Steve Perlman, who are here tonight representing, there you are. You're over here before. Representing the Union County Improvement Authority. But they're here tonight to update us on an exciting project that the county and that this Board of Chosen Freeholders has authorized and the Improvement Authority to move ahead on. And that's a solar project which municipalities will be able to avail themselves of free of charge. And in essence, it's a program which will allow municipalities to install solar panels on their municipally owned buildings at no cost. It turns out that with the energy incentives at the federal government, it's much more enticing to have private companies come in, and the Improvement Authority has been working hard to put this project together to be able to offer it this fall to our municipalities. And Jonathan and Steve, turn it over to you to give us the details of where we are in this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Hi, Steve Perlman here from the Dakotas Firm of Counsel to the County Improvement Authority. And thank you for the opportunity. My partner, Jonathan Williams, and I are here to discuss how the county can help assist in the governor's energy master plan, which is called for a 30% renewable energy program by 2020, which is truly a tremendous undertaking. And the county, doing its part, has looked in, through the Improvement Authority, has looked into how it can help municipalities and school districts and other local governments, local authorities, and of course the county itself, by providing renewable energy programs at the lowest cost possible. And what we found is that the existing alternatives out there are either bonding, which means debt, or the private sector will come in and do turnkey projects at a profit for the private sector. What we looked into is whether or not we could take the advantages of both and put them together through a hybrid program and get a better product for, in effect, your clients, which are the towns and school districts in the county. And what we found out was that the private sector can take advantage, as the manager mentioned, of certain federal tax benefits by doing solar programs. There's a 30% investment tax credit, there's advanced depreciation, and those benefits can't be taken advantage of by governments directly because you don't pay taxes. But the private sector, when they finance these kinds of solar projects, can take advantage. So the question is, how can you take lower cost of money that governments can provide through their ability to bond and combine that with the private sector's ability to take advantage of the federal tax credits, all with the goal of hopefully providing a lower cost to municipalities and school districts. And what we've done is we've come up with a hybrid program that would allow the Improvement Authority to issue debt guaranteed by the county to get the lowest cost of capital, finance solar projects for as many interested municipalities and school districts as are out there in the county. And of course, that's step one. Let's go out and find them. And then what would happen is the Improvement Authority would own the solar panels. They'd have a license agreement with the schools and the towns to get on their roofs. The Improvement Authority would own them, and they would turn them over to the private sector and allow the private sector as tax owner to take advantage of the federal tax benefits. All of that happens through a series of agreements, and here's the important part. The price that the private sector, now the leasehold owner of the solar panels, would be less than what the existing school districts and towns are paying today. If that's not the case, there's no project. And you put the onus on the private sector to pay back the debt. So when the manager mentioned that there's no cost to the towns and the school districts, what he's saying is there is a cost, but it's paid by the private sector. And net of all that, because they can take advantage of the federal tax benefits, they can still pay the debt service on the bonds, earn a fair return, and charge the locals a price lower than what they're paying through their existing utility rate. That's the program. What you've done, or what you hopefully will do tonight, is enter into a service agreement with the authority to get them started. We will authorize some seed money for the Improvement Authority through a bond ordinance that will allow the Improvement Authority to go out and hire an energy consulting team, because someone has to go out and check roofs and make sure that the interest of the local towns and school districts meets the requirements of the program. And once that happens, you put together one or more pools where you have a series of local units, and you go out to the market. The state does not allow you to negotiate, so you have to pick your solar developer through a competitive process, and there will be an RFP process, and they will come in and bid on a large amalgam of buildings, and the private sector likes the fact that you can put together a large swath of buildings, because the larger the number of roofs, the more revenue that they can take in, and the better price they can offer to your towns and school districts. So that's the program at its essence. We will be back to you when we have the size of the first program ready to go out, because we'll need your benefit of that county guarantee to issue that first set of bonds. I think the most important thing for the county, doing its job is watching out for the county taxpayers, is the money that you fund will be repaid when the bonds are issued. That will be one of the costs of the program. And if you think about it, the private sector is paying a little bit of administrative cost to take advantage of your lower cost of capital. It's worth it to them. And in the end, net, they will produce a better rate. And that's the program. And the good thing about it is, if the theory doesn't translate into practice, the bonds are never issued. But we've brought this program now to a couple other counties. They seem to be very satisfied. We're in the middle of the first actual RFP process in one of those other counties, so I get the sense, because I've been asked a lot of questions from a lot of other counties, they're very interested in that bid process, and we'll certainly give an update as that process is through to see if we can in fact do all that we're looking to do, which is provide green at a lower cost to all of your school districts and towns in the county, or at least the ones that are interested. With that, we happy to take any questions.
Good, yeah. Steve, thank you. Jonathan, thank you. Is there any questions for the freeholders? No? Yeah, go ahead, freeholders.
I'd just like to make a comment, and that is that when this was first presented to us, I was so happy about the idea, because the concept of helping our schools and saving money for our towns is just, it's what government is supposed to do. And so I was very pleased to hear about the program, certainly going to support it, and I thank you gentlemen very much for bringing it to us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Freeholder. Mr. Chairman, I did want to just add that we will start the program off by doing a mailing and a series of hosted events for interested municipalities and school boards to come in and hear a more detailed presentation of how this would work and how much energy savings they could anticipate realizing through the program, recognizing that we have to examine their buildings and their eligibility. But those mailings and those meetings will go out almost immediately. As you know from your agenda, there are 2 ordinances that are being introduced tonight. There will be public hearings, obviously, on those ordinances, I think in October, and we'll be back to answer questions that night as well. But we're going to get the ball rolling with everyone's permission to at least start to find out which municipalities and which school boards and which county buildings and county properties, and I might add, it's not just rooftops, it's public property generally that can be utilized for this purpose, these solar arrays. So we'll be back before you soon, and thank you very much for the opportunity tonight. Yeah, thank you. Thanks to both you guys.
Thank you very much.
And I think I agree with Freeholder Scanlon. It's certainly something, when it was brought to this board to set up this presentation, was something we all looked at as a tremendous opportunity to lower energy costs for municipalities, school districts, and ourselves at the county. So I really feel good about this. It certainly is something we're all interested in, trying to lower our costs to government and our residents. Okay, so thank you all. The next order of business is the first reading of Ordinance 694, 2009. Madam Clerk, please call the ordinance.
Ordinance providing the consent of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Union to the Renewable Energy Program by the Union County Improvement Authority and the execution of a county service agreement between the county and the Union County Improvement Authority.
Mr. Chairman, if I may move that ordinance.
Please, Freeholder.
I'd like to move ordinance number 694, 2009 for first reading and authorize the clerk of the board to advertise the same in accordance with law. The public hearing and final reading is scheduled for Thursday, October 8th, 2009.
Thank you, Freeholder. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by the Vice Chairman. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Freeholder Estrada?
Yes.
Freeholder Holmes?
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski?
Yes.
Freeholder Proctor?
Aye.
Freeholder Scanlon?
Aye.
Freeholder Van Blake?
Yes.
Freeholder Ward? Vice Chairman Sullivan?
Aye.
Chairman Mirabella?
Aye.
It's 9 in the affirmative, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next order of business is the first reading of ordinance 695, 2009. Madam Clerk, please read the ordinance.
Bond ordinance to authorize the making of a loan to the Union County Improvement Authority in connection with the Renewable Energy Program in by and for the County of Union, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $500,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that ordinance as well.
Yes, thank you.
I'd like to move ordinance number 695, 2009 for first reading, and authorize the clerk of the board to advertise the same in accordance with law. The public hearing and final reading is scheduled for Thursday, October 8th, 2009.
Second.
Thank you, Freeholder Scanlon. Who's the second? Freeholder Van Blake?
Yes, sir.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Freeholder Estrada?
Yes.
Freeholder Holmes?
Aye.
Freeholder Kloski?
Yes.
Freeholder Proctor?
Aye.
Freeholder Scanlon?
Aye.
Freeholder Van Blake?
Aye.
Freeholder Ward?
Aye.
Vice Chairman Sullivan?
Aye.
Chairman Mirabella?
Aye.
9 in the affirmative.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
My question, comment was on 870. I suppose it's regarding the renewable energy program, page 3. I noticed when the counsel from the ECIA was explaining everything that it's going to be a collective bargaining agreement, I suppose, if you want to put it that way, between municipalities to lower the cost, because you're basically buying in bulk. As everybody knows, if you go to BJ's or Sam's Club, you buy 1 box of cereal as opposed to 10 boxes of cereal. The per box cost is cheaper. So the same applies to solar panels. We've been working on this in Garwood, actually, for a number of months, and we're actually having a meeting this coming Tuesday at Borough Hall, where we're going to be inviting in a number of representatives from various towns and boards of education to discuss this very issue. And so we're working primarily with PSE and G towns, because we found that towns, I suppose, in the northwest part of the county are JCP&L, some of them, and it would, I suppose, be a little too difficult. But I just note that we've been working on this here in Garwood. We've been taking advantage of this. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the South Hunterdon Renewable Energy Co-op, SHREC. I believe Milford is the lead municipality on that. I could double check. I know Lawrenceville's involved in a couple other area municipalities, but they're doing a very similar thing where it's a collective group through the municipalities. And I suppose, it's just more of a comment that, I appreciate the county, trying to share services and bring towns together. I think that's an excellent idea. And I suppose we're having the meeting this coming Tuesday. It's Tuesday, the 29th at 7 p.m. at Garwood Borough Hall. We've got representatives from the Garwood Board of Ed, Kenilworth Board of Ed, and a number of other municipalities have been invited. I suppose I'll extend an invitation now to the county or the ECIA, so you can come and explain your program. So I guess that's about all I have to say about that. So thank you very much.
Good. Thanks, Councilman.
Anthony Sitko, 342 Hickory F. Garwood. Just 2 things I forgot to mention when I was up here. First off, I usually mention this during the mobile meetings, but thank you to the Freeholder Board for bringing the freeholders outside of Elizabeth. It's always a very nice way of bringing the government to the people. So I thank you, Chairman Mirabella.
That's what I keep saying to my colleagues. That's why I keep saying that.
It's very nice in here. Very nice. It's a homey feel. It's a cozy feel, but I like it. My second question was something I had forgotten to ask when I was up here talking about the renewable energy program. It wasn't a little clear. I suppose maybe the gentleman from the UCIA can perhaps explain that. Is this going to be bonded, or is this going to be a power purchase agreement? Because I've done my research over the last year and a half-ish on the solar panels, and I wasn't aware if this is going to be, because they said it's going to be no cost to the municipalities, and obviously it sounds very attractive coming from a municipal council person, but I just didn't know if this was going to be a bond issue where the county fronts the money and the towns have to pay it back, or if it's going to be a power purchase agreement where the private entity comes in, they fund the whole thing, and then they just sell electricity at a cheaper rate. Because there's a couple different ways of doing it, so I just didn't know. It wasn't quite clear to me what the process was going to be, so if someone could just explain that to me, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jonathan, come forward. I know that's an excellent question.
last time I tell my partner Steve Perlman he can leave.
I'm sorry.
Here's my card. And to answer the question, as Steve was indicating, in this case, and the beauty of this particular program is it's both. There will be a bond issue by the Improvement Authority. All of the obligation to repay the debt for those bonds which will be issued will be the private entity, which in addition to that would enter into a power purchase agreement and would provide the reduced energy costs to the municipalities where the different solar arrays are located. The private entity will repay all of the debt and will take advantage of the federal tax credits that are offered. So it's a combination of both.
Okay, follow up through you, Mr. Chairman, then, is there going to be, I suppose it's a lease with an option to buy at the end of usually it's 10 or 15
No.
years? No?
No, the equipment here will be owned by the public entity, the Improvement Authority, and the private entity does not have an option to buy.
Okay.
They will pay to install it. It will be free. The energy costs will go down. They will get the tax credits and the benefit of the lower cost of debt, which the Improvement Authority is going to issue. But when all is said and done, the county and the Improvement Authority will end up owning the equipment. Because as you know, there's a tremendously long lifespan for
Absolutely.
It lasts a long time. Now, I've given you my card. I would welcome an opportunity to come and meet with you and the other people in the municipality to talk about your program, and maybe there's a way to have you participate or have us offer a more detailed explanation to you and your fellow council people in the town.
One more, I apologize, again, through you, Mr. Chairman, I don't know how much time I have left. So the maintenance costs then for, say, the first 15 years or so, that's going to be no cost to the municipality?
Correct.
And then once, I suppose, the lease is done, then who is responsible for the maintenance? Would that be then the county or the CIA?
Well, the equipment at that point in time is going to be on the roofs and on the properties owned by these different municipalities, school boards, the counties, so on and so forth. As far as maintenance after the first initial period of time, I'm not sure I know the answer to that.
Okay.
Okay? But I can certainly find out for you as soon as I get a hold of Mr. Perlman.
Thank you, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, very good. Business is the final reading of ordinance number 694, 2009. Madam Clerk, please read the ordinance.
Ordinance number 694-2009, an ordinance providing the consent of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Union to the Renewable Energy Program by the Union County Improvement Authority and the execution of a county service agreement between the county and the Union County Improvement Authority.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The meeting is now open to the public for the purpose of commenting on ordinance 694, 2009. Please come forward, state your name, and please adhere to the 5-minute time limit. Okay, seeing no one, I'll close that portion of the meeting, and I will ask for a motion for 694, Fielder Scanlon.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move ordinance number 694, 2009 for final reading and authorize the clerk of the board to advertise same in accordance with the law. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Fielder Kowalski. Before we vote, I just want to read a couple of comments about ordinance 694. I want to say that our goal under this plan is to meet the State Energy Master Plan, which sets a 30% goal by 2020 for renewable energy sources for county government, school districts, municipalities, and other agencies. With the County of Union engaged in various Go Green initiatives designed to protect our environmental resources, this is a must for governmental facilities and infrastructure. With that, I'll ask Madam Clerk to please call the roll.
Fielder Estrada?
Yes.
Fielder Holmes?
Aye.
Fielder Kowalski?
Yes.
Fielder Proctor?
Aye.
Fielder Scanlon?
Aye.
Fielder Van Blake?
Yes.
Fielder Ward?
Aye.
Chairman Mirabella?
Aye.
8 in the affirmative, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next order of business is the final reading of ordinance 695, 2009. Madam Clerk, please read the ordinance.
Bond ordinance 695-2009. A bond ordinance to authorize the making of a loan to the Union County Improvement Authority in connection with the Renewable Energy Program in, by, and for the County of Union, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $500,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The meeting is now open to the public for the purpose of commenting on ordinance number 695, 2009 only. Kindly come forward and state your name and hometown, and please adhere to the 5-minute time limit.
Good evening, Chairman Marabella, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson, 325 Willow Avenue, Garwood. Again, here's another one. It starts off with the word bond ordinance, much like that first one I was asking, and then immediately I start thinking about borrowing money. Just some questions, and then actually a comment. It's making a loan. How is the loan going to be paid back by the UCIA to us taxpayers? That's the question. And then let me I just want to make a comment also. And I've stood here before in front of you and at other governmental agencies, and I've talked about the purpose of government. And this is actually a good thing. When it comes to new technologies being instituted into society, and the first cost is always astronomical, it's good that the government does step up and actually help out in grants or funding to cover the initial first costs for the implementation of these new technologies, in the hopes that once it becomes more and more mainstream, it will become more affordable to the public. This is one of the good purposes of government. I mean, I've seen many bad purposes, but this I actually, although I don't want to see borrowing or loans, but I am commending the government for actually taking it on themselves and moving forward with the greening and the environment, energy savings towards a better environment. So, thank you very much. If somebody could answer that.
Bruce, I'm delighted to say I agree with you.
One.
It happens once or
One
twice
out
a
of
year,
10
doesn't
years,
it?
you know?
I think you're right. I think this is a purpose of government, to put this money forward. It will be repaid by the individual municipalities or Board of Educations as, I'm going to ask Jonathan to come up, but or colleague, but I expect to recover this money over time.
Mr. Chairman, hi, Steve Perlman, excuse me, from the Dakotas Law Firm. We're counsel to the Improvement Authority. Thank you for the opportunity to respond, and to you, sir. The answer is the Improvement Authority, when a pool of local units is put together, will float bonds, and those bonds will have a portion of the money available to set aside to repay the county. Now, that begs the question, because who's paying back those bonds? And the answer to that question is that the competitively procured solar developer that will actually be putting the panels on the local unit government's facilities, on the roofs, will actually be paying back the debt service. So it's actually a better answer than you might hope. It actually does not go back to the taxpayer. It actually is borne by the private market. Oh,
Go ahead.
Yeah, another couple of questions. Yeah, these private contractors, what are they called, PPOs? They're the ones that actually install and they own it?
yeah, the term is PPA, Power Purchase Agreement, right? Right.
All right, I mean, the governmental agencies will have a choice of actually having it installed and owning it themselves instead of having a PPA own it. Is that correct?
That is correct. The reason why this option is selected over that is probably for the reasons you stated earlier. If the governments own it, they have to bond for it and pay it back with taxpayer dollars. The whole point of this program is to try and find a way to not use taxpayer dollars, and number one. And number two, try and take advantage of the federal tax benefits that government cannot take advantage of.
And there's probably an economy of scale, too, with the group of municipalities pooling together the option and lower the cost, right? And not only is this a terrific idea, but it lowers energy costs for the towns that take advantage of this. That's the real benefit over time, too.
Yeah, absolutely. In addition to paying back the debt, the whole goal here is to provide energy, not 100% of their energy. Solar technology is not that good yet, but provide a portion of the energy in the buildings at a rate below tariff, what they're paying now to the utilities.
And just one last question. The PPAs, they're going to be certified somehow for accountability, make sure that they're solid.
I expect so.
Yeah, I mean,
Who's involved in that?
Actually, the form of the power purchase agreement is attached to the RFP that goes out to the market. So you actually get to control what's in that document yourself before it goes out, and then the market is required to convey whatever material term differences they may have, and then you can decide if you accept them or not.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Bruce. Anyone else wishing to speak on this ordinance? Okay, I'll close that portion of the meeting and ask Freeholder Scanlon to move ordinance 695, 2009.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move ordinance number 695, 2009 for final reading and authorize the clerk of the board to advertise same in accordance with the law. May I have a second, please?
Second. Okay, moved by Freeholder Scanlon and seconded by Freeholder Holmes. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Fielder Estrada?
Yes.
Fielder Holmes?
Aye.
Fielder Kowalski?
Yes.
Fielder Proctor?
Aye.
Fielder Scanlon?
Aye.
Fielder Van Blake?
Aye.
Fielder Ward?
Aye.
Chairman Mirabella?
Aye.
8 in the affirmative, sir.
Thank you very much.